All right, today I want to go through some of the biggest stories in the news. We now have two names of people that were possibly abusing Joe Biden and the Autopen. I want to go through that information. I also want to talk about the Senate parliamentarian throwing out of the big, beautiful bill the ability to block taxpayer money going to illegal immigrants. Roger Stone and Alex Jones talking about Israel and Iran and Russia and the stolen 2020 election. To help me go through all these big stories, I have Jimmy Dore. Jimmy, thank you for joining me again.
My pleasure. So a lot of these stories are news to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're just out this morning. Lots
Okay.
going on. Do you ever feel like uh just every day it's like a fire hydrant of information?
Yes, it's kind of overwhelming, and the stories are moving very quickly, right? So I'll cover something, and by the time I get it out, it's almost old news already. So, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I had that same thing. It was like I did an interview with somebody and we went in and Trump wasn't going to bomb Iran. Then they bombed. Then they were done and it was over. And then there was a peace agreement. And then Israel broke the peace agreement. And then Iran claimed victory. And all of this happened within like 40 hours. And I was like, dang it, this interview is now stale.
yeah. Yeah. So that's I guess we got to live with it. There's nothing we can do.
Nothing we can do except for try to be, quick to the news. Just really quickly for my audience, Jimmy Dore is a comedian. He is also a proponent of truth and freedom of speech. He is the host of the Jimmy Dore Show. I'll make sure to put some links down below. This is a story that is out fresh today. The Senate parliamentarian blocks provisions in the big, beautiful bill to restrict Medicaid funds for illegal aliens. So essentially, this is a person that this I wouldn't call this lady the deep state, but this is the permanent bureaucracy, and she has gone through the big, beautiful bill, and she is saying, actually, I'm going to remove the part that uses taxpayer money to give free health care and free health insurance to illegal immigrants. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, we've got people in America right now, Jimmy, they can't even afford to go to the doctor or cover their health insurance. And because of Obamacare, then they get hit with a fine. And now they're saying, no, we got to keep giving free health care, free health insurance to illegal immigrants.
I can't. Why would what was the legal? Do you know what the legal precedence was that she used to do that? The parliamentarian gets to do that. That
So
seems.
so the legal precedence is that this is a budget reconciliation bill. This isn't a new law. And so she's saying, well, under Biden and others, we did give free health care to illegals. So Congress needs a separate bill that needs 60 votes, not 51 votes. So therefore, I'm striking it from the big, beautiful bill.
So, yeah, I mean, it seems to make sense that you would be able to block taxpayer. See, it'd be one thing if everybody in the United States had health care and that they were paying for. Even the health care they pay for, they don't get, right? Which is why there was such a warm sentiment for Luigi Mangione. And, uh, you see TikTok and video after video of doctors coming on complaining that their health insurance won't approve necessary treatment for people. And so, yeah, and so then when you take taxpayer money, instead of giving it to American taxpayers for their health care, we give it to people who are here illegally. That's certainly going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Now, what do you do if you got somebody brings their 3-year-old kid across the border, and then their 3-year-old kid is sick? What do? You say, sorry, go. I don't know. This is a really tough situation, where you want to be a human being. You want to, if someone's sick, you want to help them, no matter who they are. We give healthcare to people in prison. So but a lot of people would say giving health care to illegal immigrants is an incentive for illegal immigrants to come here. And I would say the bigger incentive is the major corporations, then the farms and the meat packing places and the construction companies that offer them jobs, that give them jobs. And so that's what I try to remind people, that an illegal immigrant didn't take your job. A capitalist took your job and gave it to someone in a more desperate situation so they can manipulate them and pay them even less than you. And so I think it's funny when I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I think it's funny that, when they go into a meatpacking plant to arrest illegal immigrants, they don't go in and arrest the guy who hired them. Like if they did that a couple of times, that would end the illegal immigrant hiring. If they arrested the people doing the hiring, that would end it. But they won't do that. And Trump has even talked about, correct me if I'm wrong, he said we're going to stop going after illegal immigrants in the farming industry and in the meatpacking industry and the construction industry because it would hurt our economy. And it's just like that's the whole opposite thing of what you ran on. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. So to me, I think it's a tough situation, right? You don't want to deny like a 3-year-old kid who's got appendicitis a procedure because they're here. Her parents brought them here illegally. At the same time, I understand that that's also that lures people here, but I think the bigger lure is jobs.
Yeah, you make a really great point. I never thought about the fact that hey, if you have 50 illegals working on your job site, like you're in trouble for hiring them. Like I guess that never really crossed my mind. That's why I like having other people come on to give me a different perspective. But yeah, so it looks like. Oh, go ahead.
Steve, do you remember? I don't know how long ago it was. Maybe it was 15 years ago, but there was a series of politicians getting in trouble because they were hard on immigration, yet they were hiring illegal nannies and illegal maids. Do you remember that? That kept happening, and so they got in trouble for hiring the illegal immigrant. So I think I would just apply that on a larger scale. Why don't we apply that to large corporations, large big agri, big construction, stuff like that?
15 years ago, I was only 10. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I do remember that. That actually came up during the LA riots. There were people on camera. Who's going to watch our children? Who's going to be our nanny? Who's going to clean our houses for an affordable rate? So it's funny. I see these memes online where it's like the Democrat Party. Hey, we need cheap labor. That's why we need slaves. And then slavery goes away. And they're, hey, we need cheap illegal immigrant wages so that our prices don't go up. It's like it seems nobody can do anything right when it comes to that. Okay, your eyes went kind of big when I said this at the opening, but essentially we've got two people that they're honing in on. We have this person, Jill Biden's work husband, Anthony Burnell. I've had people come on. They say that this guy is scary. Nobody wants to deal with him, but he was essentially a major player in the cover-up of Biden's mental health decline, the PR spin. He was coming in behind the scenes with Jill Biden and doing the work of the sitting president. It's now believed that he was probably also part of getting access to the Autopen. And then we also have, let me pull up here. Oh, shoot. Oh, I just lost it. I apologize. Oh no, here we go. Right here. This is another person. Biden aide Neera Tanden. She admitted in a closed door testimony that yes, for 20 months, I was in control of the Autopen. She's now getting lawyers saying that she didn't do anything nefarious. She was just literally doing what she was told, but she participated in pardons, executive orders, official actions. But the main one that I wanted to talk about here is this Anthony Burnell. He is refusing. He has flat out told the White House and Congress, I'm not coming in. This is a trap. I'm not going to do anything that's going to make me criminally liable for potentially running the country and covering up Biden's mental decline. Well, now James Comer is saying, hey, you can't say no. We're going to have you arrested and subpoenaed. He just got permission to do that. My question for you is, do you think we're going to get to the bottom of this Autopen situation?
I hope so. I'm not the best at predictions, but my gut is that no one will pay a price for this because, again, this is all done at the behest of the establishment. All the things that the Biden administration was doing was what the deep state, the blob, and the establishment wanted done. So when you break laws, much like Julian Assange is the one who went to prison for the war crimes that the United States committed in Iraq, not anybody, the person who told you about them, not the people who did them. Same thing in Afghanistan, same thing. So, Edward Snowden's the one living in Russia because he exposed the crimes that our own country were committing against us and creating a surveillance state. So, yeah, so whenever you look at Anthony Fauci, I mean, and all those people involved with COVID that knowingly lied repeatedly, but they did it. So if you lie, and I say this on my show all the time, if you lie or commit crimes at the behest of the establishment, there's almost never a price to pay.
Yeah. Are you familiar with CIA John Kirikou?
Yeah, Kirikow. So he was the guy who blew the whistle on the torture program, and they put him in prison, not the people who did the torturing,
Yeah.
and not the people who erased the 100 hours of videotape of the torture they were doing. So,
yeah, that's just I just wanted to bring up one more example for my audience because I didn't know that story. I had him on my show, and he starts telling me how he went to prison for exposing that the Bush administration had approved torturing people after 9/11. And then he ends up in jail, like, having to fight these different gangs and like trying to stay away from the white supremacists, but be on the side of the Italians, but not make the Mexicans mad in prison. And like, he's literally fighting for his life. Meanwhile, you've got John Brennan and Bush and others, no repercussions.
Not even who was it who lied to Congress when they asked him, are you surveilling people's private texts? And he said, not wittingly, which was a lie. Everybody was it. I'm blanking. It was I think the head of the CIA at the time. But anyway, yeah, nobody again. So I don't think there'll be a price to pay for this because they were doing it if they did it like to end a war, if they used an Autopen to try to end a war, or to try to audit the Fed or something like that, yes, then they would be thrown in jail immediately. But if they're doing it to start a war or keep a war going, or to disperse money to NGOs inside the deep state, no, I don't think there'll be a punishment for it.
Okay, interesting. Only time will tell. Let me move on to this topic with you. Alex Jones.
Look at just one more thing. I mean, look at the Republican Congressional Committee that found all the bribery that was happening with the Biden family and all the shell corporations and all the money that was coming from China and nothing happened. Nothing. And they found all that information and nothing happened. Yeah. So I don't think anything's going to happen. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Because I had Congressman James Comer on my show, and I asked him that point blank. I said, why didn't something happen if you are sitting on all of this evidence? And he said, we ran out of time, and there wasn't appetite to spend the money to go after. And I was like, really? So you ran out of time and money, but there's money for everything else?
And listen, we got a couple $100 more billion for the Golden Dome and the military and their surveillance state, but we can't figure out if our president was taking bribes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, interesting. Well, that's my next story with you is China Joe. So Alex Jones and Roger Stone did a 1-hour interview about the anomalies of the 2020 election. Then it comes out that China literally was mailing hundreds of thousands of fake driver's licenses to different states around the country and fake ballots that were pre-filled out for Joe Biden. This came out before the 2020 Hunter Biden laptop situation. And the the FBI wallpapered over the top of it. So nobody really knew about it. But let me play this clip and then we'll react to it together.
Left tried to say, as you know, there was no evidence whatsoever. Actually, Alex, the evidence of fraud in the 2020 election is overwhelming. It is ubiquitous. There is so much fraud, it's absurd. It would also get you to the rest of the criminals who were involved, the Norm Eisen, Mary McCord, Andrew Weissman crew, all perfectly indictable. I've seen an 82-page indictment already drafted on Andrew Weissman. I'm just waiting for Pam Bondi to pull the trigger.
Well, that's even General Flynn, who we know advises Trump on record, unofficially at the highest level, along with you, put out a report a few days ago saying, where are the indictments? We're 150 days in now, and or however many we'll put on the screen. And this is the biggest issue with the public. That's why this war at another level has been a giant distraction to our domestic agenda. We're 156 days in. What the hell is going on here, Roger? Because like you said, this stuff is cut and dry. This is low-hanging fruit.
Do you think that Pam Bondi, when she gets done with the Epstein files, is finally going to get around to looking into some of these 2020 election anomalies, specifically this story of China flooding America with fake IDs and fake ballots?
Well, if recent history is our guide, no, I don't think she's going to. I think she's going to make some bullshit excuse, and then Kash Patel will say, "No, I looked at the files. There's nothing there," and without showing us the file, just like, I mean, it's kind of crazy what's happening. So, no, I think the problem. So what I've learned doing my show. And I've been doing my show. I started on KPFK radio around 2010. What I've learned is that when you are not allowed to ask, when they make it toxic and dangerous for your reputation to ask a question about an issue, there's some deep state fuckery happening, right?
Mm.
And so the first thing I encountered along that line was debunking Russiagate. Oh, well, it was Seth Rich. So the Seth Rich thing, you weren't allowed to ask normal questions. It's an unsolved murder. And if all I did was ask normal questions like, hey, where was he from the time he left the bar to the time he got home? Hey, how come there's no surveillance? Hey, how come if it was a botched robbery, they didn't take his wallet, they didn't take his watch? Why? So I just asked normal questions, and I got put in a hit piece in the Washington Post as a conspiracy theorist. And I remember I was on the panel at the Young Turks at the time with Cenk Uygur and Ben Mankiewicz, and they were calling people crazy for having questions about the Seth Rich murder. And I said, hey, can you remember the last time reporters were not allowed to ask questions about an unsolved murder investigation in Washington, D.C.? And of course, that never happened before, never happened since. So that's when I was like, oh, same thing when I looked into Russiagate. If you start debunking it, they really immediately start calling you a conspiracy theorist for debunking the biggest conspiracy in my life, which was Russiagate. So and then also the gas attacks in Syria, so whatever you're not, Ukraine war, COVID, you were not allowed to question the COVID narrative, even though everything they were saying about COVID was a lie, from where the virus came from, to the funding of the virus, to the deadliness of the virus, to herd immunity, natural immunity, transmission, contraction of they lied about it all. If you ask questions, you were a crazy nut job conspiracy theorist, right winger. So back to this. So if you're not allowed to ask questions, which you were not allowed to ask questions about the 2020 election, The Hill got their own channel shut down for a week on YouTube because they just played a video of Donald Trump questioning the outcome of the 2020 election. So that's how bad it was. You were not allowed. Oh, also the Las Vegas shooting. You weren't allowed to ask questions about that either. So, but that definitely with the 2020 election, they put out the word, you are not allowed to have a question about this. You're not allowed to even play a videotape of the president questioning it himself. That's how bad it was. So of course there's something there. And I think the problem is that it involves the deep state once again. It probably involves the FBI, probably involves the CIA, the NSA. And so they're not going to, so no, they're not going to, they don't want that stuff exposed. So Pam Bondi probably won't be allowed to expose it, just like she's not allowed to tell us the truth about who the Johns were at the Epstein Island and the files and who actually killed him and things like that. So no, I don't have high hope. Do you have high hope for this?
Well, I always have hope, but not, I wouldn't say high hope.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always like, okay, because every now and then something good pops through, you know, and so
Mhm.
maybe it's just the optimist in me that's like, maybe something will finally pop through. I mean, you know, when I was saying that there was something wrong with the election, I got called crazy. And then, you know, you start seeing videos about, you know, hundreds of thousands of ballots being entered in the middle of the night. You start having Tulsi Gabbard say, hey, you know what? There's like all these intelligence reports about something not being right with these machines. Then this driver's license fake ballot, hundreds of thousands of ballots. I mean, Trump only supposedly lost the 2020 election by like 40,000 votes or something. So if they're finding hundreds of thousands of driver's licenses and ballots, like that's kind of a big deal. You know, there was that truck that came from New York to Pennsylvania it was a truck full of pre-filled out ballots. And then Bill, what was his name? Who was the AG under Trump? Bill Barr. Sorry,
Bill Barr.
Bill Burr's the comedian. Bill Barr shut that investigation down. Then 3 years later, the post office says, yeah, that truck exists. We just don't know where it is anymore. So, you know, at some point, these conspiracy theories, you know, leak out enough. But does anything happen? Probably not. At least we get to see that it's true, though.
Well, the very telling thing about the 2020 election and the question surrounding it was that up until 2020, the people who screamed the loudest about the vulnerability of our voting machines was Democrats. And I've showed there's a compilations made by people, I don't know who, maybe Grabian, who knows, but people good at it, and maybe Matt Orfala, they put together compilations of Democrat after Democrat after Democrat after Democrat screaming about the vulnerability of our and how easy it is to hack into our election machines and how we don't have election integrity. And then as soon as 2020 happened, not a peep. Not a peep ever again. And in fact, if you said what Democrats were saying before the election, you got deplatformed.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something to it. What I like to say is I have hope that something will come of it, but I don't have faith.
Oh, okay. That's good. I'll stick with I have hope, but not high hope.
Okay.
But yeah, I like that. You know, it's funny. People are like, you know, there's never been shenanigans in the presidential election. Oh, how about when the mob helped rig the election so that JFK could win the state of Illinois? Well, other than that, you know, so
I mean, Michael Moore had in his movie about how the 2000 election was rigged in Florida for George W. Bush. They've every election is contested. In 2016, the Democrats screamed for 4 straight. They're still screaming that election was rigged by Russia and that Trump was an illegitimate president. So you were allowed to do that up until the time when the establishment actually did it, I guess.
yeah.